For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Palestinian officials say Israel has bombed the Jabalia refugee camp in Gaza, striking apartment buildings for the second day in a row. Images show entire buildings in complete rubble as Palestinians use their bare hands to try to dig out survivors and the dead. Israel says it targeted a Hamas holdout. The death toll has not yet been released. The Israeli army says it's killed scores of militants and damaged Hamas strategic tunnel network as part of its ground and air invasion into the north. Israeli airstrikes also continue into other parts of Gaza. Rami Al-Migari reports from western Gaza.
Here at the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in the middle Gaza Strip town of Deir el-Balah, hospital officials warn of their inability to cope with mounting casualties because of intensive Israeli airstrikes. Dr. Khalil Al-Digran is general supervisor.
Yesterday alone, we received 120 wounded and another 112 martyred residents. Previously, we received around 450 wounded and 190 dead in one day. Some of these large numbers are still at the hospital and we cannot carry out surgeries. That's because of our current crisis that involves the lack of fuel and some other medical supplies. Therefore, we appeal to the world countries to help reopen crossings to facilitate refer hundreds of wounded people to some nearby countries for treatment.
According to Dr. Khalil, the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital has only 140 hospital beds. He says that currently there are more than 600 wounded who are now placed at newly erected tents. For Pacifica Radio, I am Rami Al-Migari in Gaza.
Gaza's only cancer treatment hospital has now closed a day after being hit by an Israeli airstrike. The closure is due to lack of fuel, according to Dr. Arshaf Al-Qudra, spokesperson for Gaza's health ministry. 81 injured and sick people from the Gaza Strip will be transported to Egypt for treatment through the Rafah crossing, the only way to exit Gaza, which has largely been closed. The World Health Organization welcomed the breakthrough today and said in a statement it's working to support a comprehensive triage, stabilization, and medical evacuation system for Palestinians in Egypt. Peace activists with Code Pink interrupted the Biden administration's appeal for $105 billion in war funding for Israel and Ukraine before a Senate hearing Tuesday. Christopher Martinez reports.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Secretary of State Anthony Blinken were not the only voices heard at the hearing.
Stop supporting the genocide and ethnic cleansing of the people of Gaza! Cease fire now! Save the children of Gaza!
Several dozen protesters interrupted the testimony, with a number of them carried out of the hearing room and arrested, among them Code Pink founder Medea Benjamin.
Stop funding this brutal massacre that Israel is doing on the people of Gaza! Cease fire now! Cease fire now!
The Code Pink protesters were joined by immigrant rights activists.
From Palestine to Mexico, all the way to
Committee will suspend.
After several more interruptions and at least one silent protest, Secretary of State Blinken continued his interrupted testimony. He says it's critical that the package contain funding for both Ukraine and Israel. He also says he hears the passion of the protesters and others outside the hearing.
And humanitarian pauses must be considered.
I'm Christopher Martinez.
A day after announcing actions to curb anti-Semitism on U.S. college campuses, the White House is now preparing to announce that it will develop a national strategy to combat Islamophobia. This, according to two people who spoke on the condition of anonymity to the Associated Press. They say the announcement was delayed due to concerns from Muslim Americans that the administration lacked credibility on the issue, given its robust support for Israel's military. The House returns today and will take up an Israel funding bill. Edwin Vieira reports.
The bill, now headed to the Appropriations Committee, offsets the funding through $14.3 billion in cuts for the IRS. It's unclear if the measure can pass the House, let alone the Senate. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the GOP is using aid for Israel to slash tax enforcement that many say more than pays for itself.
The House GOP package is woefully inadequate, has the hard right's fingerprints all over it, making aid to Israel, who just faced the worst terrorist attack in history, contingent on poison pills that help ultra-wealthy tax cheats.
The House proposal also includes no aid for Ukraine. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says that military assistance should be included. I'm Edwin J. Vieira for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
Donald Trump's eldest sons are scheduled to testify in the New York civil fraud case against the company. Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump took over day-to-day management of their dad's real estate empire after he became president. Donald Jr. is expected to testify today, Eric Trump tomorrow, Thursday. New York Attorney General Letitia James' lawsuit enters its second month. The Democratic Attorney General alleges Donald Trump, his company, and top executives, including his children, exaggerated their wealth on financial statements to secure loans and make deals. The Republican former president and his eldest daughter Ivanka Trump testify next week. They all deny wrongdoing. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.